Hello everyone, welcome to UpSmart. This is your Reddy Prakash, and let us now continue the series of biology for all the competitive examination, especially for CAPF Assistant Commandant. So, until now we have completed 5 classes of biology, and this will be the last class. In this chapter, as I told you in the previous class, we will be studying everything about the chapter of heredity and evolution. Yes, we'll be doing that. Before that, I'll just take a few seconds of yours. Kindly bear with me. So, as you know, we are continuing with the UpSmart's initiative of CAPF Assistant Commandant Crash Course. So, until now, we have completed all these chapters. After this chapter, there is another chapter called as diseases. Diseases per se, classification of diseases based on the bacteria, viruses, and all those things based on the source. And other classifications also, like vitamin deficiency, nutrient deficiency, and all those things. That will be only the factual in nature, nothing to explain from that. You just have to mug up whether it is nutrient, viral, bacterial, all those things, and the cause, which specific bacteria, which specific nutrient, which specific vitamin, and all those things. It is very easy and very factual. Easy in a sense, you have to put in your efforts, you have to mug up things. There is nothing to explain in much detail about it. The question will be direct. It is related to which vitamin, B1, B3, B6, something like that. Okay, so I'll give that document in a clearly presented, showcased images kind of thing, but I'll be giving that to only students or join this course. So if you want the document, you can contact the number displaying below. So you can speak to any of us directly by contacting to the number displaying below, and we'll send you those documents. So let's continue now. Today we will be discussing everything about the heredity and environment, heredity and evolution. Okay, so what is heredity and what is evolution, sir? What is it? What is heredity and what is evolution? I have listened to the words of evolution, I have listened to the words of heredity, but I always think it is somewhat similar, sir. It is related to one another, but these are not exactly the same. So what is heredity? Heredity is transmission of genetic traits from parents to offsprings. Now you see, sir, what do you mean by transmission of genetic traits? Traits can be physical traits or any other kind of traits, okay? But traits means some kind of similarities from the parents. You could have maybe see, I have a similarity in my eyelashes from my father, the bigger eyelashes, and I have a similarity of skin tone from my mother, the relatively brownier skin tone with a little bit of whitishness, okay? And some other traits shared between the two parents. This is heredity. If I say transmission of genetic traits from parents to offsprings, you see this? This is the father and this is the mother. Transmission of eyelashes from father, transmission of skin color from the mother. He got it right? That is heredity. The transmission from one generation to the other generation. What my kids get from myself and my life partner is the heredity I pass on to the next generation. That is heredity. You understood this concept, right? Very easy, simple. And what is evolution, sir? Evolution refers to, see, each generation will acquire a specific trait important for the environment, environmental change. See, our previous generations were not very much displayed to the environmental pollution, okay? Say some 3 or 4 generations earlier, something like 1800, 1700, 1600. But after industrial revolution, we were displayed to environmental pollution on a greater scale. So we would have gained some traits to the environmental pollution. Say, people living in the slums have better immunity than people living in a lavish areas, okay? So what I say is, people living in the slums for generations together, they would have better immunity and better traits to survive in the environment. That will lead to evolution over a longer period. But this is not short period. This is a very longer period. It will take thousands of years to notice the change. But heredity is very immediate. You can notice the change within the generation, within one generation, within 20-30 years, okay? But evolution, to notice that change, it takes thousands of years. That is evolution. We'll discuss the definition in detail in the coming slides. But now I just detailed it. So this is heredity, sir. This is evolution, sir. Then what is variation, sir? Variation also similar only, sir, but I don't know exactly. I think somehow it is related. Variation refers to the difference between the same species. Now we have got the heredity, right, from the parents. We have got the evolution from the thousands of years from our forefathers or some great grandfathers. Okay, now both these things leads to variation. What is variation, sir? Variation is the difference between same species. See, we as a human beings, we as a Homo sapiens belong to a particular species. This is a species, and within us there is a particular variation. Say, there is Mongoloid race, there is Negroid race. Mongoloid race means the race which you see in Mongolians, the race you relatively see in Chinese, the race you relatively see in the Japanese, that is somewhat related to Mongoloid race. And the race you see in African nations, that is Negroid race. Those people will be having a dark pigmented skin, a darker skin. Okay, Mongoloids will be having the eyes of very small in nature. That is the, in technical terms we say, that is called as epicanthic fold. Epicanthic fold will be very shorter. That means they'll have very short eyes. You would have observed that in the movies and other in any, if directly also, right? Okay, that is the Mongoloids. The Negroids, Caucasides are the Europeans. Okay, so why the variation, sir? That is the differentiation between within the species called variation, and the variation is due to the evolution over the thousands of years and the heredity from the previous generations. Now understood how the variations come and why the variation come? Easy, right? So all these three are interrelated: evolution, heredity and variation. Very easy, right? Very easy. You can do it. Just that you believe that you can do it with my classes and you can understand the concepts for a longer period of time. Okay, just focus. Now, sir, this you already told. What is this? Sir, gene, DNA, trait and chromosome. You told the differentiation of this in first or second class only, sir. But now I forgot, sir. Kya forgot means? You should remember, right? I told you in very simple terms. These are confusing, similar terms, but a different meaning of each. So what is gene, what is chromosome and what are other elements? Let me discuss. Your body is made up of information, DNA information, and your body will be made up of one genome. The genome, one genome. Genome means entire set of base pairs. The entire set of genes. One genome will be having various base pairs, various genes. One genome that will have 23 billion base pairs. Okay, that is one genome. If you say what is gene, then sir, one genome, one entire body is genome. Genome, genome. Then what is gene, sir? Gene refers to a functional unit of heredity and a segment of DNA. You would have seen the DNA, right? DNA. And one unit of DNA is called as gene. And a unit of heredity or a unit of genome is called as gene. That is fine, right? Genome divided into DNA. That is more or less DNA. DNA will be having the units of genes. Fine. Next, what is DNA, sir? What is the meaning? What is the full form of DNA, sir? DNA refers to deoxyribonucleic acid. It carries the genetic information with evolution and heredity. Okay. Next is what is traits, sir? Traits can be observable characteristics, genetic traits. That can be morphological traits, physical traits or various other things. Traits means what you can observe. I told you I got my bigger eyelashes from my father. Okay, he had a very, very crazy beautiful eyelashes. And my friends say, yo Prakash, you have very good eyelashes. This is because the heredity from my father. Okay, that is the trait. Then what is chromosome, sir? Chromosome is the structure containing DNA and proteins. DNA plus proteins maintain the chromosome. These are the elements with structure like this. DNA and protein together make up the chromosomes. How many chromosomes you will be having? How many pairs of chromosomes? you will be having 23 pairs of chromosomes. In that, 22 pairs are common for every male and female. 22 pairs are common for every male and female. 23 pairs or 46 chromosomes. 22 pairs are common. Okay. The other one is called as sex chromosome. 22 plus 1 chromosome, that is sex chromosome. For a male, see, for a male, you will be having the sex chromosome in XY, 1X and 1Y. For a female, you will be having 2X. Fine. This is the number of chromosomes, and the XY and XX determine whether you are male or female. If you have X and X, then you are a female. If you have X and Y, then you are a male. Fine. Easy with the chromosomes. Then sir, we discussed so much sir. You are telling chromosome, DNA, heredity, environment, evolution and many things. Confusing, but you clarified. Good that you clarified. Then what is the importance of all these things together, sir? What is the importance? I already told you. Evolution, heredity determine how you should adapt to the environment. It will determine your survival chances in the environment. Now see, it says adaptation and survival. Now see, this is a leaf. Now a bird comes. This is a insect. Now another bird comes towards the insect. It wants to eat the insect. Now this insects falls on the various kinds of insects falls on the leaves. They'll be eating the leaves. Bird will come for its prey. Now which insect will be easily visible to the bird? Which insect do you think is easily visible to the bird? Sir, this is somewhat lesser visible. This is easily visible, right? Then the bird will eat these two first. Then it will go to this. Somehow these two will feel safer because it is camouflaged with the greener color of the leaf. It is safer, right? And this greener color, it got it through the evolution and heredity. Fine. This is the importance. Helps in adaptation, adapted to the green color. And survival, survived from the bird. Easy, right? And it acts as raw material for the evolution. Now it has got the green color. Green color is its raw material and it will continue for the generations until there needs a change. It is a continuous process, but it is a long-term process. Easy, right? Cleared, right? Nice, right? Understand why the terms, the what are why the terms and how the terms. All these things will determine why the biology, why you are here and why you are surviving, how you are surviving. It will determine everything and it will be very easy understand your life process. The chapter shouldn't be like you are understanding for the examination purpose. You should keep the chapter as you are understanding yourself in the environment. Okay. Next. This is easy chapter. Next is, you would have heard is this man's name. This man's name is called as Gregor Mendel. Sir, Mendel, yes sir, I have studied this person since 5th standard, sir. Yes, my dear boys and girls, you have studied this person from 5th standard. He is called as father of genetics. Why, sir? Why is called as father of genetics, sir? Now, what is genetics, sir? You are told genome, gene, chromosome, heredity, evolution, variation. Now, again a new word, genetics. What is genetics, sir? The study of genes and its nature and its variation. You are studying genes. What are genes? Why are genes? Why the variation? What is the importance? And everything is studied under the head of genetics. And that head genetics, the father of that genetics is Gregor Mendel. Why? I'll tell you why. See, to understand this genetics, to understand this heredity, some experiments was needed. but someone can't do the experiments on a person, Homo sapien, because by the time he does experiments on a Homo sapien, on his babies, the person would have been dead. So what Gregor Mendel did very intelligently is he picked a particular plant. That plant name is important. That plant name is pea plant, especially garden pea, and scientific name for this is important. Pisum sativum. Pisum sativum is the scientific name. This is important. And why did he pick this? Because it is short life cycle. You can observe the heredity and evolution within few months. Within few months only, many generation of pea plant will be completed. And you can observe the heredity, how the baby pea plant is related to the parent pea plant. That is heredity. Okay, short life cycle. Easily distinguishable traits. See, some pea plants will be having its seeds in some other color. Some pea plant will be very tall, some will be very short. So it will have distinguishable traits. So easily you can understand. Next, it can self and cross pollinate. Cross pollinate means you can pick two parents, one male, one female. You can cross pollinate. Then you can self pollinate it also. That is within itself. So that is the reasons he selected pea plant. Easy reasons for his selection of pea plant. And now why is the father of genetics? Because he was the first person to understand these concepts of heredity, evolution, variation, and the application of it in the human variation. Okay, easy and its importance. So he is the father. So let us understand first what are the distinguishable or contrasting traits studied by Mendel. He picked the pea plant, right? As I told you, there are distinguishable traits. What are them, sir? What are them, sir? You know, sir? Listen, sir. Focus, sir. Exam is very near, sir. One is height, sir. It can be tall or it can be dwarf. Tall can be with the alleles of TT or TT. Okay. T refers to dwarf. One single T refers to dwarf. Capital T refers to tall. But to get the nature, it needs two gametes. If both are capital, still it is tall. If one is capital, one is smaller, still it is tall. Because this is called as law of dominance. Whichever is dominant, if that is present, it will suppress the recessive one. If whichever is, you can think it like capital T is powerful, smaller T is less powerful. When it comes together, it will suppress, it will oppress, it will tell the smaller T, shut up and stay there. I am the dominant one, I am the most powerful one. You should behave as I desire. The small capital T will desire to grow taller. That is law of dominance given by Gregor Mendel. Okay, capital T, small t. And the recessive one is dwarf. It should have small t, right? So the allele should be TT. This is right. If it is capital T, small t, then this is not right. Because as I told you, the powerful one will suppress, will oppress, it will tell the smaller one to shut up. Okay, that is how it is. That is one, the height. Second one is seed shape. What is seed shape, sir? You pick different ones like the round seeded ones and the wrinkled ones. You can see this, observe this. These are wrinkled. Then the seed color also, yellow, green. And the flower color also, violet and white. They might ask this, what are the colors? What are the different kinds of this? So this is also important, and you should also understand the law of dominance, which I will discuss again. I'm just giving you a brief introduction so that it doesn't feel like a new concept when I discuss that. This is all for you people who are coming from humanities, arts background and commerce background. Okay. So science people, somehow they'll understand it. They'll feel, why is this person stretching so much? Because not everybody comes from the same background. I have to cater to every student. Every student is like my own brothers and sisters. I have to make sure everybody gets the equal amount of knowledge. Okay. Next is Mendel's monohybrid cross. So how he observed is, he made a cross between monohybrids. Say like this. So before explaining this, I'll tell you what is law of dominance. I already told you dominant traits expresses itself in the F1 generation. Leave F1, dominant traits expresses itself. This is important, law of dominance. Then what is law of segregation, sir? I'll explain you when I explain this with an example. Law of segregation. Alleles separate during gamete formation, sir. Alleles separate during gamete formation, sir. I'll explain this. Now let me take a whiteboard so that I can explain it in a nice manner. This will take a few seconds usually. See now. I told you Gregor Mendel picked a pea plant for his observation of heredity and evolution. So how did he pick them? He picked a pea plant. I'll show you the image so that you don't feel confused. So he picked a pea plant like this. A pea plant like these ones. One being the taller one. Other one being the smaller one. Dwarf one. Okay. Easy. The taller one with the capital T. And the smaller one, these are pure parents because both dominant, both recessive, either capital T or small t. He picked two different pea plants like this. Now he crossed it. He made love between them. He crossed both of them. Now we'll see what is the result. I'll show you the result. Now you see the result. Two ones, right? TT, small t. These are the parents. As I told you, these are the parents which he picked. The pure ones. Right? Now, he made love between them. So that T will produce the gametes of T. Smaller t will produce the gametes of small t. This he has made a cross pollination. Parents, cross pollination. Sir, you are telling parent 1 has TT, parent 2 has small tt, capital TT, small tt. It is doing cross pollination and it is producing gametes. Gametes are these ones. These are alleles and part of them are gametes. Then both should come. Why only one is coming, sir? Because he is doing cross pollination between two people. Only one will be given by each parent. Only one will be given by each parent and both of them combine to form another child. Okay, that is cross pollination. When cross pollination happens, only one it will be got. Okay, so it will get both the ones. The child will be TT. This is F1 generation. F1 means first generation. First generation child is capital T, small t, and this nature is, I already told you, this is taller only because capital T will shut up, will tell the smaller t to shut up and stay silent because it is a dominant one. It will be the taller only. But what he did for the second generation is, what I has done for the second generation is, he did the self-pollination. Self-pollination. So, both the capital T and small t separated. Self-pollination between two similar plants. So, both the capital T and small t separated like this. Capital T, small t. Capital T, small t. Fine. He self-pollinated the second generation. So, now we have gametes 2. Second generation gametes. These are gametes 1. These are gametes 1. These are gametes 2. Now, a cross self-pollination of this will be done. How will the self-pollination will be done? The T can pair with the other two. How? The T can pair with the capital T can pair with this and this, the next plant. Small t can pair with the next plant. So when capital T pairs with the smaller capital T, it is TT. When capital T pairs with the smaller t, it is capital T small t. When the smaller t pairs with the capital T, it is capital T smaller t. When the smaller t pairs with the smaller t, it is small t small t. Fine. These are the new generation of babies. So these are F2 generation. So now if you see, this is tall, this is tall, this is tall, this is shorter. Only one will be shorter. So when it is dominant, only in the second generation, you will get the shorter baby. That too 3 out of 1. 3 will be taller, 1 will be shorter in the second generation. First generation to completely taller. This is how he did it. This is how he explained the heredity and evolution over the generations. Fine. You need not understand all these things like how to cross pollinate, how to self pollinate. I am just explaining how we did it. That is more than enough. So first generation will be everything taller. First generation everything will be taller. I told you. Second generation 3 will be taller, 1 will be smaller. And what are the genotypic ratio? That are the gametes or alleles. 1 capital T, 1 smaller t, small t. 2 will be mixture. This will still be taller because law of dominance. And each one will be divided next into capital T, small t, capital T, small t, right? This is called as law of segregation. Law of segregation. Alleles separate during gamete formation. The separation of alleles during gamete formation is called as law of segregation. Simple, easy. So let's move forward. So now the evolution, sir. Mendel though I understood easily, sir, because nothing, it's very easy, sir. Pick a pea plant, why pea plant, variations in pea plant, how the law of dominance, law of segregation acts in the self-pollination and cross-pollination. In first generation babies will be everything taller. Second generation babies, 3 will be taller, 1 will be shorter. In that pure babies are 1 completely taller like T, capital T, 1 smaller like small t, the other 2 will be mixture of it, capital T, small t. This is everything about the Mendel and his monohybrid cross, that is called as monohybrid cross. Easy, right? Will you forget again? If you forget again, come back and watch my class, okay? Next is evolution. So I told you what is evolution. Accumulation of the changes over generation, like it is a long term process. So in technical terms, it is a gradual change in the inherited characteristics over generations. Okay, the basics of generation is, basis is variation and selection. The variations are evolved over the period and the natural selection is also evolved over the period. What is natural selection now, sir? New word again. What is natural selection, sir? I tell you, sir. Natural selection as a concept was given by Darwin, Charles Darwin, this person. Okay, and his principles, the principle of natural selection is organism with useful variation survive and reproduce better. Fine. When the variation is useful, as I told you, when the variation in the insects, I told you variation in the insects on a leaf. The green insects, the variation is green insects, blue insects and brown insects. Brown insects was not useful. That variation was not useful. It got extincted. Green insects was useful. That is how variation survive and it reproduces better. Fine. Next, favorable traits accumulate over the generation. The green was favorable trait and it will only become more greener. That it will accumulate over the generation. Easy, right? Very easy, sir. That is given by Charles Darwin, sir. Fine. And that gives the basis for the evolution. What is favorable, what is beneficial in the environment will lead to evolution and it will accumulate for a longer period. Fine. Next is, what are acquired traits, what are inherited traits? You told about the traits, sir. Traits means observable variations between the populations or the observable changes within the species. Those are the traits. Within traits, there are 2 kinds. Acquired traits and inherited traits. What is inherited traits, sir? Heredity, inheritance means passage of traits over the generation. What my father gave me, the bigger eyelashes. So what is acquired? What is acquired by me? That is acquired traits. Say inherited traits. It is genetic. My father gave me. Acquired traits developed during my life. If I go to gym, I'll build a muscular body. That will be acquired traits. But I didn't build it. Okay. My father was muscular. I am lean like this. Weak to put it in the right words. Inherited traits are genetic. Acquired traits are what I acquire in my particular generation, which won't be passed to the next generation. That is acquired traits. Now the second thing, inherited traits is passed to the offsprings. My father gave it to me. Acquired traits are not inherited, that is not passed. Fine. Example is eye color, eyelashes. Here the example is muscular body. If you go to gym, if you are muscular, will your son also be muscular? No, he needs to go to gym. That is muscular, acquired and inherited traits. Easy, very easy. Let's move ahead. Next is homologous and analogous, sir. Sir, what is homo? What is analogous, sir? Again, I have heard this word for a longer period in my life, but still it is confusing, sir, and I don't remember the concept, sir. Question yourself, why you are not able to remember? Why you are not able to remember? Because has it been the lack in the content? Has it been in the lack in the teaching style? Or it was due to your efforts in studying? Or it was due to the interest in studying? I will tell. It is a combination of everything. When you have to study a concept, when you have to remember a concept, everything should put in the right places at the right time, and you should be focused enough and you should be interested enough to retain the knowledge. Say, okay, now we'll get back to it. Homo means similar. Ana means different. Logos, organs. I'll tell you what. See, you have seen the forelimb of ours, right? Forelimb means our hand. Okay, this is forelimb. This is our hand. This is forelimb. You have seen us, right? This is our forelimb. Fine. You have seen the flipper of a whale. This is a whale. And this is the flipper. These are the flippers. You have seen the flipper of a whale, right? The bones of whale's flipper also will be similar. Similar? Yes, sir. You have seen a bat. And the wings of a bat. It will also be having a somewhat similar structure. Sir, how, sir? Different functions. We use our hand to write, to do works. Whales use its flipper to swim. Bat uses its wing to fly. Then why is how similar, sir? Structure in the bone structure is similar. Bone structure is similar, function is different. That is homologous. Same basic structure. Basic structure is same, but different functions. These are called as homologous. Easy. The origin is also same. Origin plus structure. Origin plus structure of bone pattern is similar, but the function is different. This is called as homologous. Then what is analogous, sir? Analogous is different. Origin might be different, but here the different function, here the same function. Now you see, you have seen the bird wing, right? This is a bird wing, an eagle's wing. This is an eagle wing. This is a dragonfly, and it is its wing. You think both will be having the same bone structure? No, sir. It is also for flying only. This is also for flying only. But both are not having the same bone structure, sir. That means the origin is different. This origin from different organism. The origin of insects is from different organism. This is completely different phylum. This is insects. This is aves. Means birds. The origin is different, but the function is same. Bird wing and insect wing. So now we come to a conclusion. Significance is, this is a common ancestry. This refers to a common origin, common ancestry, and it indicates divergent evolution. Common ancestry, we came from a common ancestors, but our divergence became due to the function of different needs. Okay, that is how the significance is for the homologous organ. Sir, then for the analogous organ, it indicates convergent evolution, sir. This is divergent evolution because we are coming from the same family. We are diverging to different functions to cater to the environmental needs. Here, This indicates the convergent. No, ours is the divergent, and this is the convergent. It comes from different origin, different ancestors, but it will function similarly to cater to needs. That is called as convergent evolution. Convergent evolution will be having analogous organs. Divergent evolution will be having homologous organs. Easy, simpler, connected topics, interrelated concepts, understanding, thinking, retaining. Very easy. And the new name should be written on a plain paper. Please follow this plain paper. Biology is very easy. Now the revision of the new terms so that you don't forget. Father of genetics is Mendel. Father of evolution, don't confuse, it is Charles Darwin. Charles Darwin gave the concept of natural selection. Now experimental plant of Mendel is pea plant. Scientific name is Pisum sativum. Functional unit of heredity is gene. Genetic material is DNA. Father determines child sex. Does he determine? Yes, sir. Because gametes will pass from father also, sir. Not just mother. Easy. Fossil give evidence for evolution. Homologous organs, common ancestry, divergent evolution. Analogous organ, similar adaptation. Human chromosomes are 46 chromosomes, 23 pairs. 22 common chromosomes, 1 sex chromosome. Male sex chromosomes are XY. Female sex chromosomes are XX. Easy. Half of the evolution and heredity chapter is completed. Another half is remaining. That is more concepts in nature. I will explain you. But very interesting. Stay focused and important for the examination. Now we are pakka with all these hormones and all, right. Very important because you will get a question from hormones. Very tough and boring chapter. I know that in my entire chapters of 5 classes, the 5th class on hormones will be very boring. I know that because I also hate this chapter because there is nothing much to learn from this but to do the ratta learning. But that is how it is. Some things we have to do the ratta learning. Everything cannot be like the concepts, very interesting things. This you have to ratta do so that you will get the 2 marks, you will get into the list. Fine. So this is fine. Now we will get to the second part of evolution, that are majorly concepts. You will understand the concepts and rules, principles and everything. See, one is evolutionary rules and principles. Evolutionary rules and principles. One is macro evolution rules. In macro evolution rules, there are few kinds, like the CAPF rule, increase in size. Then the Dolos law. I'll tell you what these are. I'm just listing out the names so that you don't get confused and get an intention like, or a thought like, oh, new names again, new names again. Yes, yeah, it is new names. It is a new subject, new names. You have to get used to it. You have to pass or not. You have to clear or not. You have to become an officer or not. Yes, sir. I have to become, sir. I will become, sir. You are becoming. I believe that. Just that, stay focused. CAPF rule means increase in size. Sir, increase in size. Kya increase in size, sir? Have you seen this? Can you see this image? Earlier, horses used to be like this. Don't remember these names. And this example also not very important. I'm just giving the example so that you understand it. Scientific names are not important here. Early horse used to be shorter. Then over a period it became taller, little bit taller. Then over the period it become more taller. Why, sir, the increase in size happened? Why, sir, the increase in size happened? We'll understand why. Before understanding why, this observation was done by CAPF, and he named himself for the principle. CAPF rule. He gave the CAPF rule. That is increase in size. Then he gave the prediction. That is species tend to become larger over the evolutionary time. It is evolving. It will become larger. It will increase size. That was his thesis. And the idea was larger size often provides advantage in survival and competition. When it is bigger, it can compete with other species and it can survive better. That was the idea of cope. Example, early horses. Okay. Next is Dollo's law. Now you see this Dollo's law. See, earlier the whales used to live on land like this. It used to have legs, it used to have a tail and everything. Then semi-aquatic, similar face but semi-aquatic. Then it became a complete whale, modern whale, aquatic, completely aquatic only. Now the legs are gone. It acquired the gills. Gills. Does it have gills? Does it have gills like that? See, whales returned to water but did not re-evolve fish-like gills because whales once used to be in water, you say. When it was in water, it had gills, but out of water it came on land. When it came on land, gills was not useful. Then it got lungs and it got legs. Okay. Then again it wanted to go to water. It went to water, but the gills were already lost. So whatever is lost once will not come back. That was the observation of Dollo's law of irreversibility. Once a structure is lost, it cannot evolve back. That is Dollo. That is his concepts. Easy, right? Cope means size grows up. Dollo means no going back, no reversibility, irreversibility. That is Dollo. Easy, conceptual. Next. Next, geographical and climatic rules. You would have heard these names, right? Bergmann's rule, sir. Allen's rule, sir. Glogger's rule, sir. These two I have heard, sir. This somewhat I don't remember, sir. It's okay, sir. Bergmann's rule means, say, if people or organisms are in cold climates, if they are in cold climates, their body usually will be large and bulky bodies. You would have seen Russians, right? Russian male will be somewhat bulkier because they live in the cold climates, especially the eastern part of the Russia. They live in the cold climate. Their body will be bulkier in nature, large and bulky nature, cold climate. So now why the bulky this thing, sir? You question, sir. It is related to metabolism, sir. Go and Google it, sir, so that you don't forget it, sir. Fine. Go Google why Bergmann's rule. Why the organisms there are larger and bulkier. Google it, study, put a little bit of effort so that you will retain the knowledge for a longer duration. Next is Allen's rule. Now this similar rule called, you see this, one example can also be polar bear for the Bergmann rule. This is a polar bear and this is a sloth bear. Nam kade iruva karadi idu. This is a polar bear and this is a sloth bear. You would have seen the images, right? Polar bear will be eating they'll eat which kind of fish? They'll eat which kind of fish? That can be an example for the examination. It can be important. Study that. That fish is very beautiful and that will be eaten by the polar bear. Not very important. Some basic knowledge, general knowledge you say. You can watch the videos also. Very good videos. Okay. Polar bear, sloth bear. Polar bear will be bulky, larger in size. Sloth bear will be very thin in nature because they live in the tropical regions. These live in the polar regions. That is the reason. Next is Allen's rule. Same cold climates, shorter ears, tails and limbs. See, shorter ears, shorter tails, shorter limbs means legs. Why, sir? And this is Arctic fox, this is fennec fox. This will be living in deserts or tropical regions. You see, bigger ears, bigger legs, okay, bigger tail. Then why, sir? Why the differentiation, sir? See, if it is in colder region, if I am in colder region, my body will be having a certain heat. My body will be having an heat if I go to colder region, but that heat shouldn't be lost to the environment, because if the heat releases to the environment quickly, I'll become cold and I'll die. So I should retain my heat. And where the heat releases usually to the through the openings, like large ears, big legs, big tail. If the surface area is more, the release will be more, so that they are minimizing the surface area. So if all these cavities and openings or the extensions are lesser, surface area will reduce, so that it will retain the heat. That is why the differences. Understood? Easy. Next is Glauber's rule, sir. What is Glauber's rule, sir? Glauber's rule refers to warm, humid regions, darker pigmentation. If the region is warm and humid, pigmentation of the skin will be darker. If they are in colder regions, they will have the pigmentation of lighterness. You see European people, colder regions, they will be white skinned. See the African people, dark, very warm environment, they will have the dark pigmentation. See Indians, the mixture of everything. So we'll have the brown skin. Okay, easy. Next, population genetics and rules. There is something called as Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium, a PYQ also, and very important and very easy. Equilibrium. What is equilibrium, sir? I'll tell you, sir. See, if no evolutionary forces act on a population, we have a certain population like this. Evolutionary forces means migration, genetic drift, and various other evolutionary forces which I'll explain. If all those doesn't act, the population will remain as it is. If there is no external force, the population will remain very similar over the generations. If there are external forces called as evolutionary forces, then there will be a variation in the population. Okay, that is what was given by the Hardy-Weinberg, and he named it as equilibrium. So, what are the external forces? What are the evolutionary forces? What shouldn't be there, sir? No mutation. Mutation means point changes in the DNA, genes, genome, point changes, very minute changes shouldn't happen. See, I am here today. Suddenly, if I get a mutation change, means say my legs might not work, my vision might not work. That is a mutation change. Okay. So, if I was in previous generation, I had my eyes, I had my legs. Coming to this generation, I lost my legs and vision. So, there is a variation, right? Due to the mutation change, very little chromosomal change, I lost my vision and legs. So, due to the mutation, there is a variation. When there is no mutation, no variation, I will remain as it is over the generations, right? Easy, right? That is mutations. No migration, sir. See, if I move from here to some other place, say Negroids, Africa, and say Mongoloids, say Japan or Chinese, do I remain the same over the generation? Do my babies remain the same over the generation? No, right? My babies will change according to the environment. Easy, right? They would change according to the environment, according to the people there, and how I do the crossover with them. Fine, right? That is called as migration. If that doesn't happen, I will remain as it is. Next is no natural selection. As I told you, natural selection. One of them is insects on a leaf. Earlier, insects used to be all brown in color. Over the period, new insects become greener in color, and the natural selection selected the green color and it didn't select the brown color, so brown color got extinct. Green color remained as it is. So if there is no natural selection, all would be brown color only, there wouldn't be a change. Fine, right? All would be brown color only, there wouldn't be a change. Fine, right? So if there is natural selection, then a variation in the earlier population will happen. Next is random mating. I shouldn't select the mating, whom I should mate. I shouldn't select whom I should mate. How the mating is happening around the society randomly, if that happens, large variation doesn't happen. If something like, say, Hitler used to do that selective mating. He used to mate only Nazis with Nazis, and he used to kill the Jewish population so that he can maintain the purity in the Nazi population, and the Jewish population used to be killed. So if that continues over the generation, Nazi people will look completely different, Jewish people will look completely different, and if both the generation crossovers for a longer period, there wouldn't be an observable change for a longer period. Random mating, understood? Very large population, and population should be very large, so that random mating doesn't matter also. Selective mating or random mating doesn't matter. Population is large, fine. So this is given by Hardy-Weinberg. Nothing changes, gene frequency stay the same. If these are the conditions required. It can be an application based question. Be ready for this. The formula is p square plus 2pq plus q square. Remember, this is not much important. What is p square? Homozygous dominant. 2pq hetero different. Q square is homozygous recessive. P is dominant. This is recessive. Homo means same. Same p, same p. Same q, some q. If q is recessive, P is dominant, PQ is heterozygous. Easy, not much important formula. Just okay, formula is like that. Remember, that is enough. Next, bottleneck effect, sir. What is bottleneck effect, sir? Bottleneck effect means, 1 second. No, I'll start with this. Evolutionary selection principles. Evolutionary selection principles, how they are selected. Say, there are 3 principles mainly. 1 is the founder's effect, 2 is the genetic drift, 3 is the bottleneck effect. Bottleneck effect. So what is these 3 effects impacts the evolutionary selection process. So what is founder's effect, sir? Founder's effect. See, these are the original large population. And a particular 4 to 5 people, small group, moved into an island, completely isolated. They moved to an island completely isolated, disconnected with the larger population. Example, now over the period, these people will become a new population different to the earlier larger population. This is called as founder's effect, because they found a new land, they become a new population. Okay, say you think you think of Andamanis and other tribes were in the Andaman Nicobar Islands. They were separated from the mainland India very, very long ago, and they are completely disconnected with the mainland India. Now you can observe the traits of difference between the Andamanis and the mainland Indians, between us and them, right? Because we were not mixed with them for a longer period. That is founder's effect. Small group isolated from large group may have different gene frequencies. Whoever starts the population strongly influences the future generation. Only 4 people are there. These 4 people will mate and they will influence the future generation. Very similar future generations. Okay. Then they will become different to larger population. This is founder's effect. Next is genetic drift. Genetic drift is gene frequencies. Frequency of genes of this small population change due to chance, especially in small population. Due to a chance. What can be a chance, sir? It can be luck, not fitness, drives the change. Luck, not the fitness, drives the change. Usually fitness, natural selection will drive the future evolution. But something like luck also will matter in the evolution. That is genetic drift. Like rare alleles becoming common after a natural disaster. Say, this is a small population. This is a small population. There are 10 A alleles and 3 B alleles. Okay. So over the period, which should become dominant? A should become dominant. Now a natural selection happened. Natural disaster happened now. Natural disaster happened now. Suddenly, 9 of the A allele dead. Only 1 of them remained. 1A remained and 3B remained as it is. 3B plus 1A. If you see by fitness, A should have been dominant over a period of time. But now due to natural disaster, A population completely died. Only 1A remained and 3B remained. Now say, who will dominate in the future generation? Who will dominate in the survival generation? It is B. Is it due to luck? It is due to luck, not the fitness. If fitness is considered, A should be dominant. But now luck is being played its role, just like how it plays in prelims of UPSC. Now what is remaining? Bottleneck effect, sir. What is bottleneck effect, sir? Bottleneck effect is population bottleneck. See, why the name bottleneck is, you would have seen bottles, right? Bottle will be like this, usually. Or I don't have space to draw here. I am also bad with the drawings, as you know. Bottles will be like this. It will have a neck, small neck. Then it will have a bigger space. Fine now. Small neck. This is called as bottleneck. Why the name bottleneck, sir? Now I'll observe, sir. With the example, I'll tell you, sir. Say large population of cheetahs. High genetic diversity. Very high genetic diversity. A will be there, B will be there, C will be there, D, E, F until Z. Okay. Very high population or genetic diversity will be there. Now, sudden reduction, bottleneck event. Sudden reduction, like the disaster, forest fires happened. Many of them died. Population crashed. Out of 1000 cheetahs, only 50 cheetahs survived. Out of A to Z, only ABC remained. Everything dead. Only ABC remained. Everything dead. That means all of them were traveling like this. They faced a hurdle in the bottleneck, the natural disaster. The path was not easy when it came to the neck. When it came to the neck, the path was not easy. It became the smaller path. That is why it is called as bottleneck event. Some disaster, some hurdle, some inhibition. So population crash, only ABC, reduced genetic diversity. Understood why? Understood what the bottleneck effect means? With an example, easy. Population crash happens, that is called as bottleneck effect. That will lead to reduced variation. Variation will become lesser. Okay. Only few survivors. Cheetahs possess lower genetic diversity. Example. Easy. Now, ecological rules. There is one rule which is very important, which is there in the NCERT biology textbook as well. 11th NCERT biology textbook. See, ecological rules, sir. There is something called as competitive exclusive principle by Gauss's principle, competitive exclusion principle. Say, two species occupying exactly same niche cannot coexist together. Same niche cannot coexist together. Say, see here. These are two species. Pink species, green species. They are occupying the same niche, same environment. They are getting the same food. No, but however, pink is powerful. Pink is powerful. Green is less powerful. Now, over the period, pink should dominate, right? They are higher in nature. Pink should dominate, but pink is okay. I'll keep it like 1 second. I'll keep it like, not pink is not powerful, but pink have high numbers, but less power. On the other base, green has less numbers but high power. So what happens in the future is, it can be similar space, even though it has high numbers, power is less, so slowly it will shrink its population. It will become one. Green will dominate, and after some time only green will be surviving. Pink will completely extinct. This is called as competitive exclusion principle. It will exclude which are not in the competition. Okay, that is given by Gauss. Same species with similar niche cannot coexist. One species eventually outcompetes and extincts and excludes the other. Paramecium species grown together in the same culture. Okay, these are two kinds of paramecium, not necessary. One will dominate the other. This is the end of heredity and evolution. Very easy chapter, right? It is very easy, interesting, conceptual. Understand yourself as an example, our society as an example. how the variation, why the heredity, how the evolution happened over thousands of years. All these things will make your concepts easier. Fine. So now we'll take a break. We'll end the biology as a concept, biology as a subject. We can start with physics, which will be handled by Ashwajit sir. So from tomorrow, physics classes will be uploaded continuously. So until then, keep revising biology whatever is possible and try to apply a few concepts on the PYQs. And again, I am stressing you will get at least 17 to 18 questions of biology. At least 15-16 is a minimum, bare minimum. Out of that, 10 to 11 questions easily you can answer through my classes. Just that, believe in me, focus on your studies, solve the PYQ, apply it on test papers if you are giving any mock test, stay focused, give 100% in this examination. I wanted to see you as an officer. All that I require is I want you to become an officer. And to support me, you can leave a comment below. Thank you. And to get complete paper 2 notes and the diseases part notes from the biology, contact the number displaying below. Okay, fine. Thank you. Thank you so much.